Be strong.
So, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Amateur Otaku podcast. Happy to see you guys once again in 2025. But there's something in 2024 that happened that we would be remiss not to kind of check in and see how everybody's doing, and that is Dragon Ball Daima. But before we get into the topic of the day, I'd like to introduce my co-host, starting with Isaac. How's it going, Isaac? How have things been?
Exhausted. Where's my Dr. Pepper?
No Dr. Pepper. Yo,
Ooh.
we gotta change that stat. Somebody get this man a Dr. Pepper. While we're searching for the Dr. Pepper ditch, how's it going?
It's going good. I got my big jug of water that you'll see making appearances throughout the
I've been
show.
seeing that, like this man drinking water, man. Or
It's
is
a
it
gallon.
Dr. Pepper?
A gallon of Dr. Pepper is heinous.
That would be very unhealthy. Don't do that. But let's talk about some more healthy things like Dragon Ball Daima, everybody. Dragon Ball Daima. So I want to kind of go into everybody's history with Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, just the Dragon Ball franchise as a whole, really quickly, so that way everybody kind of gets a understanding of where everyone's baseline is. I can kind of start quickly. I originally got started with Dragon Ball Z. It was a favorite anime of my mom's back before people didn't know what anime even was, like the difference between that and American cartoons. I read a little bit of the Dragon Ball manga, and there are some perverse things in there that I wasn't expecting. By today's standards, that thing, I don't know if it would happen today.
No.
So I quickly switched over to the Dragon Ball Z manga. Had a much better time with it. Didn't read all of it, but I read a good chunk of it and really enjoyed it. Since then, I've been following the series throughout the different journeys. I don't think I've seen all the movies, but I've seen a good chunk of them. I watched Dragon Ball Super, had fun with that. I wish Gohan would shine like the star that he is. We did get a Super movie where he did shine. That was great. And now we're on to Dragon Ball Daima, where he is once again missing, and I'm very sad about it. Didge, how about you?
Much like you, I started off with Dragon Ball Z. My cousin had showed it to me. Just like, yo, you should watch this. Obviously, we were showing each other so many different anime back and forth when we were younger. Grew up with that. Went to GT. Then went back to Dragon Ball first. Went into GT, Super. Just basically ever since then kept up with it. It's something I think almost every guy in my family likes. So it's a very easy topic to no matter who you are or what you're talking about, you can always come back to that. So that's always cool.
Yeah. It's one of those like elementary anime, as in like something, or gateway anime, I guess is a better way to put it, like something that introduces people to the whole medium. But yeah, Isaac, how about you? What's your history with Dragon Ball?
Unlike you two, my first experience was actually the manga, and sort of like semi-library in here, which is funny since the anime never aired in Sweden, so that one came later. And I don't remember if I remember telling you, Dej and Brenna, and we had remembering Akira with you, but yeah, we never had the Dragon Ball airing here yet. The library, for whatever reason, had it as an option of borrowing, or there were places that you could buy it on. I can't recall where I bought every volume I had, but it was in bookstores, so, which is weird since the anime were not in the country, but I digress.
Greatness finds a way.
That is true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so clearly, we all have been with the franchise for a very long time. Isaac, possibly even longer than anybody else here on the panel with reading the manga. So diving into Dragon Ball Daima, we did kind of a first look, talking about some of our first impressions. I remember, Isaac, you were kind of like, you were liking what you were seeing, but you were kind of wanting a little bit more. I'm curious, do you still have the same feelings now that we're about halfway through the series?
I mean, do I still would like to see Super back? Yeah, I'm not gonna deny that because the next arc is one of the best arcs in the entire manga, and I don't know if you agree or not on that, Age, but that's arguably one of my favorites, and the one after that is even also a really good one. But besides the point, and yes, I do was a bit. Oh, it's fine, but this show has grown on me throughout each episode. From it do feel like old school Dragon Ball with a modern twist, so to speak, or should I say modern touch? It's sort of like it's and I'm glad that it exists as a nice gateway for new fans that don't know where to start with if they should start with C. The OG Super. You get my deal. You get your deal. So it does have become a lot better over each episode in my book.
Yeah, I would definitely
And
agree with that.
And it's certainly a lot better than GT, which was a fear of mine, not gonna lie.
That is fair. As someone who hasn't really seen much of GT, I do want to go back to it at some point. But I've just never really heard positive things about it. So I'm glad that it's, that's a low bar to pass, but I'm glad it's passing. But yeah, as far as like my opinion, since I feel like I was in the middle, I've been happy with the series. I will say it's kind of something that when I think back on Dragon Ball, I never really think about like the quiet moments, or like sometimes I'll think about the meme of like, oh, powering up for like 10 episodes. But it's more like a fondly looking back, like, oh, ha, they did that. But now reliving through it, I'm like, oh man, they really did extend some of these sequences. I won't say it's to the same extent though as what they did back then, but there were a couple moments like earlier in the season before Vegeta and Piccolo and Bulma kind of joined Goku and Glorio and oh my god. You see how many names I just said? And it's the one people are gonna be like, oh, she don't know anything. I'm like, I just named so many people.
Oh,
What's her
Pansy.
name? Pansy. They haven't even said her name in episodes, okay? It's not my fault, it's theirs. They haven't said so long.
Typical Akira Toriyama name. I'm
You
just
think
gonna say
so? Is it a food? It sounds like it's flower, right? A pansy. Yeah, now that they are all kind of together, Gohan, maybe he could show up. I don't know. I'd like to have my fingers.
Oh, that boat is sailed.
You never know. They might get the Dragon Balls and be like, I wish that adult Gohan was here.
That would be a wild wish.
You will get more of him in Super.
That's not the same series, though. But in any
case,
that
it's something.
I mean, not something for what I'm dealing with right now, but all right. Now that they're all together and they are pursuing the main goal of like gathering the Dragon Balls so they can beat King Goma, another name I know. Don't ask me about anybody else, but I know Goma. I am liking where things are going. Like I see what the direction is. We're not just like trying foods with Goku or like all this atmosphere is weird or all that kind of stuff. Even though, that's great and that does add context. But I wanted to see more of like, we got introduced to Goma and the evil sister lady. Y'all know. And like kind of something was going on there that was really interesting and I wanted to dig more into that, and then I felt like that was put on the back burner for a little bit. But where we are now in the season, where as of recording, episode 13 dropped a couple days ago, I do feel like we're getting closer and closer to our heroes finally meeting our villains and then seeing like kind of what comes from that. So I'm really excited. We're at a good point in the series. I'm curious. I don't know. We've also met some of the other like demons that live in these 3 different demon worlds. So I think it's really great that we got the context on that. Like knowing that like the race of like Kais come from these trees or whatever. I would have never ever thought that was the case. But it's interesting lore that they added to. Yeah, it's been really fun with the series, even with my moments where I feel like we hit a lull. I'm still having a good time watching. So Yeah, I've been enjoying it. But Didge, who I feel like had like the highest hype level when we last talked about Daima in our first look. How are you feeling about the series now?
I'm having a great time with it. I think one of the things we were kind of sold on Daima that really made me excited initially was that it was going to feel more like Dragon Ball. It was going to have more of, like, you're going to have the action, but it was going to have some more of the comedic aspects. It was going to be more of an adventure than, like, it's heavy on the adventure and action adventure versus the action that I feel like Dragon Ball Z and so on were. So I'm happy with that because I think that we are for sure getting that. Maybe a little bit too much, obviously, to some of the things that you were talking about early, but I do sometimes like the journey more than the ending. So on my end, it's been really great, but I do understand the need to be like, all right, let's pick up the pace a little bit, which is while I was talking to you off air about, I was actually shocked that you welcomed the last episode just off it definitely, you could tell that this was a split because it definitely felt like a first day back.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, I wasn't expecting anything crazy for the first day back, but I also realized isn't it like the second episode that I think they've all been together? Maybe the third.
Yeah,
So
something like that.
yeah, so I feel like they're not going to get like too deep into the weeds of anything, especially after just getting a Dragon Ball. So I'm like, this is about what I
Yeah, fair.
expected, and we got to see like Goku and Vegeta power up. So I'm like, that was cool. I
Yeah,
liked it.
fair.
I liked it.
But
And
no,
Piccolo
overall,
did something.
Piccolo did do something, which I was like, I'm not as shocked. I feel like he's gonna have another big moment, just because he's back in the demon world where Namekians are from and everything, or Nemeks are from. I forgot that they just called them Nemeks.
Are we calling them that now?
That's what they called it. They didn't even say Namekian. It was just Nemeks.
I know. Like they're not saying Namekians anymore. So I'm like, do we not say Namekians anymore? I don't know.
However you want to do it. But so I feel like just being back, he's gonna have one more big moment, whatever it's going to be. So I'm along for the ride, and I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as I guess what we want to see going forward, now that we know some things, just to kind of close us out. I know for me, I said Gohan outside of my unrealistic expectation. I would say
I'm glad you know it's unrealistic.
I mean, is it though? But
it is.
this one might also be unrealistic. I'm
not
gonna lie to you, but I feel like in honor of GT and maybe in reference to like, some of the cool things that came out of GT that people love, could we get a Super Saiyan 4?
That's going to make it tough because the questions are going to come out again on how does this, because there's already questions now about how does this decanonize Super? What's going on with Super? And it's like, do you want to have those questions even louder?
So
I know. You make it a true multi-universe and melt them all together.
I feel...
I was joking, by the way.
Oh, I was about to be like, I don't know how that would work. But I feel like they already kind of said that this is another timeline kind of thing. Sometimes people really have to have someone explicitly sit them down and be like, this is another timeline. So I don't know if they need that for like Super Saiyan 4 to happen. But if that's what's required, then sit people down, be like, by the way, this doesn't affect anything that you saw happen in the future. We're just having fun. Like, let's just have fun. I'm totally cool with that. Even if this wasn't an alternate timeline, it definitely would make things a little bit confusing. But I also feel like, I don't know, like, just have fun. just enjoy it.
Isn't there that spin-off anime where they literally have a multi-universe?
Dragon Ball Superheroes.
Yeah, thank you. That one. That was a wild ride, to say the least.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, I think it's for like a card game, or it's like a promotional anime for like a card game or something.
Oh, I think I have seen some like trailers.
I believe so, yeah.
They have a lot of stuff.
Interesting. But yeah, that would be my big ask for the end of the series. If we could get that, I I don't have much hope that it will happen. But honestly, I'm like, I'm here for the ride as far as expectations go. I'm just here to see like what happens next. If I could just throw in some wrenches, those would be my two wrenches.
That's
So
fair.
what about you, Didge? What do you want for the series? Realistic or unrealistic?
Oh god. Potentially unrealistic. I would like to see them make it a way that it does fit into the super story.
Oh.
I don't know how you do that. That's why I said potentially unrealistic, because I feel like some things may have already been retconned too much. But they're the creators; they can figure that out. On the more realistic side, you know what? That's my only one. I can't think of anything else. I kind of want to see a nice, neat story. I want to see how do you try to fit this into the puzzle that you already created.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see them try and figure that out. That is for sure. What about you, Isaac? What would you like to see from the series going forward?
I mean, I know that I joked about multiverse stuff, but they kind of introduced that for the mainline stuff with Trunks already.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a sort of like an offshoot to own world. This isn't exactly the human world. So, for what we know, we could have some weird ass. Hey, this is another timeline where you guys had this power instead because XYZ and all that. They could make some weird crossover type deal, or maybe melt something in together for the sake of the manga. I mean, didn't we half joke about how they would probably adapt Daima to the super manga because of our annoyance that they adapted a superhero movie.
Oh, I haven't heard that. That would be
And that's
that'd be
an
interesting.
interesting
It was
one.
us being annoyed by it. We said we probably do it. It wasn't based on anything. Just FYI.
I could
But
see it maybe being its own like standalone manga if they wanted to do that, but to try and put it
yeah,
into Super, I'm like, I don't know how they would do that.
me neither. But then again, like you guys said, they are the creators. What I would like to see, honestly, I don't know. And that's why I'm going with the whole multiverse stuff, because if I don't know how you how should I put it? This is a clear love. This is something that Akira Toriyama worked on himself, as in he developed into his own world again, as in not just giving. What's the mangaka for Super's name again? Do you remember the age? Is it Toritaro?
Yeah, Toyotaro.
And because this was a personal project for him, unlike Super.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't see them doing a sequel to this in comparison to Super that is already a thing. So I would honestly like them to. It would be fun to see them manage to incorporate some of the best part of this into Super somehow. So it's sort of like a half serious joke. You get what I mean.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that. I feel like maybe an element from Daima could make it into like the mainline timeline, I guess you want to call it, because that's basically what happened with GT, right? Like Gohan's daughter Pan made it over to
Well,
the
she showed
mainline.
up at the end of G or at the end of Dragon Ball Z. Like
Yeah, she's in.
she was in, because they had like that flash forward, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah, they had a time skip. I think she was like five,
Yeah,
6 years old then.
Let me see. I could try to look it real quick. It was very. It might have been literally the last episode where it was like when Goku went off with Ooh.
Yeah, Oop didn't make it
Honestly, I
better.
didn't like that part. I
But
didn't like that.
that. I don't know how. So that's the weird part where it's like the end of Dragon Ball Z. I think is like I don't remember how many years. Let's say it's 6.
Yeah.
Super supposed to be in between that, because I remember at one point
I didn't know that.
it's weird because I remember at one point it was supposed to be like, oh no, the end of Dragon Ball Z still happened, but Super it's weird.
Now it just doesn't make sense for it.
Just throw it in. Just throw it in.
Just
I mean,
It's already cooked. Just throw it in.
let me
in
see
order
if
for
I can
it
find it. Let me see if I can
for-
find it while you guys are talking.
for something for Super to fit in the time skip sort of deal, they kind of need to. I'm just saying this on the spot, but like something happened, they all lose memories of what happened during Super, and they nerf Goku and Vegeta and Gohan yet again.
Don't nerf. Why Gohan need to be nerfed?
Yeah, I
Nerf
say that
Goku,
everyone needs to be nerfed.
No, just everybody but
I'm
Gohan.
just saying that if they want to have that as that time skip as canon, that's the only way they can do that at this.
I mean, they do kind of need to nerf Goku and Vegeta. They are pretty. I don't know. Like they keep trying to make up more powerful people for them to fight. I haven't. I'm gonna start the super manga soon-ish because I'm actually almost caught up with Dandadan, which is sad because now I have to wait for it to come out weekly. But yeah, when I'll see kind of like what happens as far as like the scaling and stuff goes because it's already crazy in Dragon Ball. But
it's just insane. It's insane right now, and they need to get another power boost. Let's just go with that.
What can you do? I don't know. Bring back Super Saiyan 4.
Super Saiyan 4 Ultra Instinct.
Oh,
how that would even work.
I don't know. Does that mean like his hair and like body hair turn silver? I don't know.
I don't know. But it was just something I put on the fly, but sort of like you can incorporate the demon world into Super.
Yeah, like you definitely could. I think it would be good for them to bring some of that lore into Dragon Ball Z, even though it's like, it's not going to impact like how the world functions or anything. It's just like knowing more about different aspects. So I think they definitely should bring that over.
So I just looked it up. There's 3 episodes at the end of Dragon Ball Z that are supposed to take place after Super. They're very much like slice of lifestyle episodes where it's like Goku meets up with Pan, he meets Oob, and he goes off the train with Oob. So I guess technically still all of Super could have happened because I don't think it's like he's meeting Pan for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they were careful enough to still keep that within the story, which would kind of make sense because the guy who's writing Super right now, he wrote a fan manga for Dragon Ball before, so he's probably very much trying to keep that within line because he's obviously a huge fan of it.
You telling me we never get to see a Pan that can speak? We'll never get to see Oob do anything.
So that's the thing. I don't know if Pan. I don't remember the episode fully. I don't remember if Pan spoke in that episode. So
she wasn't like old enough to talk.
In the manga, at least, she was talking when they were. I haven't seen the anime, but in the manga, they pretty much have.
She must have been. She's in like fighting tournament gi, so she must have.
We see Sengoku
like
train with Goten.
Orange bandana pants.
No, she's definitely still a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the manga, and it's Goku trained with Goten, who is basically 16, 17 at that point. Sort of like he's a teenager at least. Pan is flying through him, showing off. Goku was Vegeta
for the first time at the end of the superhero movie.
Yeah.
And we see you see Bulma and Vegeta come there. Goku talks about how time flies and haven't seen them in a while, and talks about how old she looks. Yada yada yada. They go to the next tournament of power.
With as much as Goku is fighting on Whis' planet training, that can very much be I ain't seen y'all in forever.
Yeah. And he fights, he starts fights too, but that fight stops and he just flies away with him. And quite frankly, I don't like that ending, but that's...
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're trying to keep it within that confines of Z, because even if you wanted to say we got to that point and let's say Super continues, you can always just continue right after that. we're left to assume that he flies off with Oob and they don't see anybody for forever. Like obviously taking out GT, where it's like they could have flew off.
GT.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you take it off, Dragon Ball Z literally ends with he flies off with Oob, and we're left to assume that they flew off and didn't see anyone forever. They could have literally did like a weekend trip somewhere. You can write that. You can easily rewrite that ending to be like, he flew off with Oob, but we're
now I'm like, do they ever even get to that ending though?
I
don't know.
You don't have to be honest.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing.
But it's the notion of that they left. He is left off and in an indication that he never saw the family again. Sure, he is training a lot.
That would be crazy. Chi-Chi would kill him.
Do you want Jamie and give a thumbs up when I'm done with that? But if you don't want to be spoiled about GT, take off your headphones for a second.
I've seen all of GT.
She hasn't seen it. But give her a ton. I hate the fact that Goku flies away with Shenrong at the end of and just comes back 100 years after and just ends and talks like it's just a nothing burger. I mean, Goku wouldn't leave his family like that.
Yeah, that was a weird one. That's why I'm like, that's the difference between that and the end of GT or end of Z, where it's like he literally is just going to fly off with Oob to start his training.
Yeah,
there's no saying like you're never going to see your family or anything again. It's just all right, it's time to go start training.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. That one I feel like you could definitely, if you wanted to keep that ending, you can easily. Oh, Jamie, you can come back in because we're talking.
Yeah,
we're I agree with you on that one. But like, if you wanted to keep this Dragon Ball Z ending of, hey, Oob, we're going to this island to train, that can literally be the start of whatever your arc you're trying to start next.
Dragon
Fair
Ball
enough.
Future.
Fair enough. Yeah.
All right. So Didge and Isaac would like to see Dragon Ball Daima somehow canonized, I think. As far as the wishes go.
As best as you can, yeah. You don't have to, like you said, you don't have to take every element.
And this is from someone that was F Daima, Let's Give Me Super at the big once it got announced, if you remember that. I was not hyped for this show in the slightest.
That's so interesting to me. I mean, I feel like I was not really super hyped at the beginning, but then the more I learned about the series, the more I became hyped.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely let us know though in the comments down below, like for people that have been watching the series, what are you kind of expecting / predicting for the end of the series, or maybe just something that you would like to see personally, realistic or unrealistic? Yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of the video. We appreciate it. And to close this out, Didge, where can the people find you, and what do you want them to support?
You can find me at Didge_DEE in all places. That is DIDGE_DEE. I see the names are not here in the corner. Usually they are, so I don't have to spell it out.
For some reason, they have removed that feature on screen.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I didn't know that. We never have ours on, so I just never pay attention to it. But yeah, you can find me there or on Geekset Podcast at Geekset Podcast in all places. Episodes will be coming out there every other week. And I don't know, there's some other stuff. Just stay tuned to social media.
All right.
Nice.
And Isaac, what about you?
Well, you can find me here at the Amateur Otaku. You can find me over at Emblemaniac on Blue Sky and Twitter as of right now, and the pod on Twitter. No, I'm not going to call it X. That's too extreme for me, but and I'm going to start trying to do some writing for Wolf Rights again, but life is life, and some other projects going on that I hopefully gets done soon. Ugh, life, you know.
Yeah, but we believe in you. You can do
Uh,
it. Yeah, and you guys can find me at Swiper_Prime on Twitch and YouTube. I am working my way through Indiana Jones. I need to get back to that. It's been I think a month since I last played it. So I probably don't know how to play anymore, but we'll see how that goes. And then I'm entertaining a couple of games that I would like to do like a short session on. So you'll have to tune in to find out what those games could be. And yeah, that's all that we have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, if you enjoyed this, make sure to hit the like button so that way this video gets recommended to more people like yourself, and subscribe so that way you get notifications on when the next recording or live stream goes up. And until next time, hopefully you guys have a good one. Keep reading manga and keep watching anime. Peace!
Peace!